Okay, tonight we're going to learn about Shiva B'Tammuz and the 3 weeks. This Sunday is the fast of Shiva B'Tammuz. It's one of the rabbinic fasts. The Nevi'im, it's the Nevi'im. It's not from Chumash, but it's from the Nevi'im. And there are different fasts that happen, different terrible things happen to the Jewish people. On the 17th of Tammuz, 5 terrible things happened to the Jewish people. And because of that, the Chachamim instituted this fast. It's a pretty severe fast because 5 terrible things happened. First thing that happened was Moshe Rabbeinu broke the luchos when he came down from Har Sinai, and you saw the Jews made the golden calf. It was Shiva B'Tammuz. Second thing, the carbon tamid that they brought twice a day in the Beis HaMikdash ceased to happen. Also on Shiva B'Tammuz. They broke through the wall of Yerushalayim on Shiva B'Tammuz, meaning starting Asar B'Tevis for 3 years, Nebuchadnezzar made a siege around the city of Yerushalayim for 3 years. On Shiva B'Tammuz they broke through the wall, and 3 weeks later on Tisha B'Av they actually burnt the Beis HaMikdash. So he says it's an interesting thing. When was that, in the first Beis HaMikdash or the second Beis HaMikdash? So some people say, one second, some people say it was the second, but the second Beis HaMikdash, because they say the first Beis HaMikdash, they broke through the wall on the 9th of Tammuz, not the 17th. In Yerushalmi it says that no, both were on the 17th, but the people were all mixed up from the problems, they didn't get the dates right. So the bottom line is that they broke through the wall of the Yerushalayim and Shiva B'Tammuz. And secondly, this wicked Rasha, Apostumus, burnt the Sefer Torah, and they put an idol into the Beis HaMikdash through the Rishoyim. So these are 5 things that happened on Shiva B'Tammuz. First. Nebuchadnezzar was that drove out Mordechai, then they came back, the Purim story, and then they built the second Beis HaMikdash. The second Beis HaMikdash was destroyed by Titus and those guys, the Romans, not Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, so therefore like this, let me give an introduction to this whole din. The Gemara, when it speaks about the Avelis, the morning of the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, the Mishnah in Merit Cotton only speaks about the week of Tisha B'Av. Shvur Shechol Beit Tisha B'Av, the week of Tisha B'Av. That means if Tisha B'Av would be Thursday, that means a whole week before, starting from Sunday to Thursday, would be the week of Tisha B'Av. This year, it's interesting, Tisha B'Av is Sunday. Shiva B'Tammuz is Sunday. So this year in Halacha, you don't have a week of Tisha B'Av. There's no din of a week of Tisha B'Av because Tisha B'Av is Sunday. And that's it. It's the first day of the week. So in the Gemara, it only speaks about Shvur Shechol Beit Tisha B'Av, that we have the morning over the Beis HaMikdash. In Ashkenazi communities, they write, there was Amar writes, and the other poskim write, and this is the official Ashkenazi custom for sure, that we have what's called the 3 weeks. The 3 weeks are the 3 weeks from the time they broke through the wall of Yerushalayim until they destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. That is what's called the 3 weeks. Then you have the 9 days. In that 3-week period, you have from Rosh Chodesh of until Tisha B'Av. That's called the 9 days. And then even stricter than that is the week of Tisha B'Av, and stricter than that is Tisha B'Av itself. Okay? So number one, the Shiva B'Tammuz is actually Saturday night and Sunday, but the fast doesn't start until the morning. So in LA time, the fast starts like 4:30 a.m. is when the fast starts Sunday morning. Sunday morning. But the dinim of the 3 weeks actually begin the night before. For instance, during the 3 weeks, you're not allowed to, in Ashkenazi circles, you're not allowed to listen to music, live or recorded. You're not allowed to take haircuts. You're not allowed to make weddings. You're not allowed to make a shachianu on new fruits. There's a lot of dinim involved in the 3 weeks. But that din of the 3 weeks, according to almost all opinions, begins the night before, the night of Shiva B'Tammuz. Meaning this year, even though the fast begins Sunday morning at 4:30 a.m., but all the dinim of the 3 weeks, no music, no haircuts, no all that, begins actually Saturday night as soon as Shabbos is over. What?
Do we have to do it also or no?
Do we? Who's we?
Fast.
Yeah. It's good for a diet. No?
I'm a senior mint, so I don't have to do it.
Oh, you don't sin. You don't have to do anything.
So is it that holiday that I was telling you about that I told the singer? Is that the holiday?
No, one second. Not now. Okay? So therefore, just as far as the fast goes, it was like this. Let's first discuss the fast and then we'll talk about the 3 weeks. The fast begins 4:30 in the morning LA time. Now, if you're planning to get up early in the morning to eat or drink, you have to have in mind before you go to sleep that you're planning to get up early to eat or drink. Because if you don't have that in mind, then you're not allowed to get, even if you do get up in the middle of the night, you're not allowed to eat or drink. It says in Halacha that if you always drink in the middle of the night, then it's like you made a condition to drink. But I'm saying, let's say you don't get up in the middle of the night ever to drink. So then, once you go to sleep, the fast begins. So therefore, it's always a good thing for everybody to do, because sometimes you just wake up in the middle of the night, just say, hey, maybe I'll go take a drink, So you should have in mind before you go to sleep that if I wake up early, that I'm going to be able to eat or drink.
Somebody wakes up in the night, 4:15 in the morning.
Yeah.
They have to do the whole routine, Negel Wasa, all the brachot, Shema, and then eat, right?
Are they going back to sleep or not?
Probably yes.
Then they don't have to say brachos necessarily because it's before Amud HaShachar. And they're going back to sleep.
Right.
So you don't have to. You have to wash Negel because you slept in the middle of the night.
You have to say Shema before you eat?
No, Shema because it's too early to say Shema. You can't say you're not obligated to Shema. Okay, so as far as the fast is concerned, it's interesting then. Halachically, you could take showers. Sunday morning, you could take showers. It said Bal Nefesh Shachmer, but poskim right today, even Bal Nefesh is not machmer. So halachically, you're allowed to take showers Sunday morning. But what's unique about Shiva B'Tammuz over other fasts, it says, on Shiva B'Tammuz, day itself, you should do like the 9 days. Meaning, you're not allowed to go swim. You shouldn't. You're not allowed to. It says in Halacha, you shouldn't go swimming this Sunday, Shiva B'Tammuz. Even though during the 3 weeks you are allowed to go swimming, not the 9 days, but during the 3 weeks, you're allowed to go swimming. But nevertheless, on the day Shiva B'Tammuz, because all these five terrible things happen, so it says you should stay away from doing things that you wouldn't be doing the 9 days, which practically speaking means swimming.
Or you could work, right?
Yeah, it's a regular
Unless, Rabbi, if you have an exercise routine.
exercise. You can exercise. You can exercise
No,
during the
swimming.
9 days too.
I mean, in swimming, if you have exercise swimming.
If somebody is told by a doctor that they need to swim for health, then they could swim even during the 9 days. Because then it's health, it's not enjoyment. Okay, next. What?
You didn't have to do sakana?
No. The reason of swimming is tainug, not sakana. It is, okay. It says during the 3 weeks, it's not a mazel dika time. It's not a good luck time. I mean, terrible things always happen during the 3 weeks. Shh. So, because of that, it says in Halacha, for instance, you shouldn't hit your kids, you shouldn't hit students, because, God forbid, you hit them, something can go wrong. Now, don't do that today anyway. You'll end up in jail. But, for instance, it says you don't do dangerous things during the 3 weeks. For instance, if people need medical surgeries, procedures, they should try to avoid it during the 3 weeks. If they can't, at least the 9 days. Court case, it says in the Mishnah when Av begins. But even the 3 weeks, it's a time when the Beis Hamikdash, both Beis Hamikdashim were destroyed. It's not a good luck time for a Jew. Other is a mazel tika time for a Jew. The 3 weeks, it's not a mazel tika time for a Jew. So you don't do things that are dangerous. Now, Swimming in a pool is not considered dangerous. Swimming in a river with a strong current, that's called dangerous.
How about in a big?
So, one second. So therefore, this idea of not swimming and during the 9 days is not because of sakana, it's because of enjoyment.
For children, which even a pool could be dangerous.
Again, that's a Haggish thing. If you're talking about a pool, that you should be extra careful, it says. Should be extra careful during the 3 weeks, even when you travel, yeah? It says people drive, they should be more careful the way they drive in the 3 weeks than they do a whole year. They should just be more careful. You don't do dangerous things during the 3 weeks, because definitely not during the 9 days. What? It's not a mazel dika time. So when it's not a mazel dika time, good things happen on good days, bad things happen on bad days. Megalgal and Schus, the Gemara says, Megalgal and Schus liyam zakeh v'chevel liyam cheva. Good things happen on good days, bad things happen on bad days. This is not a good time by Yidden, that's all. It's you don't do it. So therefore, like this, you don't take haircuts during the 3 weeks. Ideally, it says you shouldn't shave either. Those are people that shave, but it says there's a heter if people need it for work or whatever, so then they're allowed to shave during the 3 weeks. So preferably not during the 9 days, but if they need to, they could. But the marshal, people that trim the mustache because it gets in the way of eating, you can trim it during the 3 weeks. Women could shave their legs during the 3 weeks. You know, things like that. But actual haircuts for men and women, for that matter, is forbidden. Unless if a woman, let's say, is going to mikveh, then she needs to cut her hair. Or if for tzniya's purposes, like the hair is getting long, it's sticking out of the wig or the tichel or whatever, and then they're allowed to trim it a little bit. But otherwise, you don't take haircuts during the 3 weeks. And even to kids, an adult is not allowed to even give haircuts to kids, even though kids are not obligated. B'chlal, another interesting din. Normally all mitzvahs have chinuch. There's chinuch by every mitzvah. Except the laws of mourning, there's no chinuch. For instance, God forbid, if a kid under bar bas mitzvah loses a parent, they don't sit Shiva. They're not obligated, and there's no chinuch. It says in Halacha, you don't educate the kids in the dinim of Avelis. So, practically speaking, a lot of times, it happens, nicht eingedacht, it happens way too often that there's little kids under bar bas mitzvah that lose the parents. Kids go to school, just try to make it as normal as possible for them. But there's no din of Avelis by kids. What?
Kaddish stuff with kids?
Kaddish originally was made for kids that couldn't daven for the Yomit, so that was one of the reasons they instituted Kaddish, especially for kids, and that's why they made it in Aramaic, because that was the language that everybody knew at that time.
Is it true that they said one should not be masculine in the Chukim of Avelis?
The Gemara says, Amar Shmuel, and made cut in different places, Amar Shmuel, Alocha K'divrei Ameikol. In Avelis, the law is like the ones that are lenient. There's an interesting thing over here, 2 minutes. When the Rebbe's brother, I mentioned this in the past, when the Rebbe's brother-in-law, Rashag, was sitting Shiva upstairs in 770, and the Rebbe went, it was interesting, the Rebbe went when the Bachar were eating dinner across the street, because it would be the quietest time, like this, all the Bachar would be there. I happened to be there because I happened to be there, I was upstairs when the Rebbe was, so, the Rebbe told the Rashag, when they were talking, that if you're makel in the laws of mourning, so in a Shemayim, the heavenly court is lenient to the person who dies. But that doesn't mean you don't keep the laws. I'm saying when there's different opinions, you go. But the Rebbe says, when you're makel in the dinim of Avelis, so in Shemayim they're makel. So remember, Rashag asked the Rebbe, what's the source of that? And the Rebbe didn't answer as if that he's the source. He's the source. It's like, there's a story. The Rebbe Rashab once called in the previous Rebbe, and he said to him, I have a new concept, but I'm not publicizing it because I don't have a source. The second the Friedrich Rebbe left the Rebbe Rashab's room, he's telling everybody what the Rebbe Rashab said. He told everybody what the Rebbe Rashab's, unique thing. So The Rebbe Rashab called him in, and he said, I told you I don't have a source. Why are you repeating it? He says, you don't have a source, I do. You're the source, it's good enough for me. So he says, you don't have a source, I do. So I'm publicizing it.